people from Virginia, from DC, from Maryland, even from Pennsylvania that come through. Some of them have concealed carry permits, some of them don't. So you don't need a concealed carry permit to transport. Doesn't hurt, makes things easier, because now you can actually transport it loaded if you want to. But if you're transporting it off your person, you know, like it's in a case, it's best to have it unloaded. They never frown on that. They always prefer it. Okay. All right. Beware of going to places like Joe's blog for handgun information. Yeah, exactly. Or your brother's friend Bob. He just may not know. He may think what he's talking about is right, and maybe it was 50 years ago or 5 years ago, or maybe he got the information from a law enforcement officer that doesn't know.
Or interpretation.
Or interpretation, yeah. So stay away from that kind of stuff. If you have a definitive question, like, can I carry at work, or in the parking lot at work, and you want a concrete answer, the best place to go is a lawyer. You may have to pay a little bit of a fee, and he may write you a letter, you know, stating that, yes, Sue is entitled to carry this weapon in her car, whatever, and he can solve that problem for you, okay? The lawyers are the best ones to be definitive on this issue. Generally speaking, not a divorce lawyer or a bankruptcy lawyer. The NRA can provide you with information to find a lawyer who deals with firearm issues. It may not be his full-time business, but who specializes in that. Those are the kind of lawyers that you want to ask those questions. Most of them will let you ask a couple questions without charging anything. If you want them to write a letter or anything else, then they start charging. But most of them will be happy to do it, give you some advice, and it doesn't hurt to get their card and have it in your wallet or your purse, because later on as you're going down the road, if you do actually have to get your gun out and actually use it, excuse me, once you get arrested, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but once you get arrested, you're going to want to call that lawyer. So it does not hurt to have that information and kind of talk to him a little bit and make contact with him right off the bat. You know, it's a good thing. It's going to be your ace in the hole later on in life. We'll talk about that a little bit more, unless you have a question.
Well, it's one thing to inquire of him with gun laws. It's another thing to expect him to get your butt out of the who's if you've used it.
Well, he's going to figure he's getting paid to get you out if you use it, and we'll talk about that, because he will get paid, and it's a good thing. I'll segue into that for a little bit here. If you actually get your gun out and use it, you can pretty much expect to be arrested. It's not a bad thing. It's the way the courts work. It's the way law enforcement works. They're not going to come up to you like they do in the movies and pat you on the back and say, good job, you've been after this guy for years, you took him off the street. They're not going to do that. They will arrest you. Most of the time they're not going to be belligerent or anything else, but it's their job. They're going to calm the situation down. They're going to sort things out downtown and figure out what's going on. So you probably will get arrested, and you probably will need a lawyer to help you deal with the court issues that will come up. So, like I said, it doesn't hurt to make contact with a lawyer and explain to him what's going on, you know, and get his business card. He may get business out of it, he may not. But he's willing to do that. They'll be willing to do that. So, you're smirking. All right, any questions on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Like we talked about, state police is another place you can probably get fairly reliable information. They generally have somebody on staff who specializes, or at least is knowledgeable in the local handgun laws. So that's a good place to go. The local sheriff, probably not so much. All right. Now, let's talk about this real quick. If you do get involved in a traffic stop, the best way to handle this, and it's not required by law in most states that I know of, but the best way to handle it is have your hands on the steering wheel when the officer officer walks up, he'll say, "Hi, so-and-so, I've stopped you." Say, "Okay, officer, I have a concealed carry permit. I have my weapon in my purse, on my left hip, my right hip, or it's in the glove box." At that point in time, he'll say, "Okay." He may ask you to show you the weapon, which one you go like so. Or he may make a joke about it and say, "You're not going to shoot me, are you?" I've heard that one a couple of times. Okay. It's the way they look at it, law enforcement, and I've talked to many officers, is they look at it as a professional courtesy. They just want to know up ahead. You know, most officers do not have a problem with civilians carrying guns. There are a few, but if you just tell them in advance, it's the best way to deal with it. If they do pull your records and it comes up that you have a concealed carry permit, they may come back up to you with their gun drawn. If in the course of the traffic stop they decide to get you out of the car for whatever reason and it becomes apparent that you have a gun, you may find yourself face down on the pavement in the rain with a gun pointed at you. You want to avoid that at all possible costs, so by being up front, telling them, it usually works out much better. Okay? And I can't say that it's helped me beat getting a ticket. 9 times out of 10, the officer is typically more friendly with you. I had one guy apologizing left and right for giving me a ticket, even though I richly deserved it. And he did give me a ticket. But most of them get pretty friendly with you, and they'll say, "Oh, I carry the same thing," or "I wanted to get one of those. How do you like it?" So, it doesn't hurt. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. All right. And again, if you have any questions, do not be shy. There, let's see. Oh, one of the things I want to talk about too, are you aware that you can carry in a national park?
I think I've read that someplace
Okay.
and heard something lately about something being reversed in
Yes.
National Park lately.
It is legal now for you to carry in national parks, concealed carry. From what I understand, it is still not legal in Skyline Drive for whatever reason. So it would be your responsibility to know that, like we talked about. But how about Harper's Ferry? That's a national park. It's right nearby.
I wouldn't know. I've never been there.
Okay. Harper's Ferry resides in 3 states: Maryland, Virginia, and West
So
Virginia.
Maryland would be no.
Right. So, if you're on the tour bus and it takes you through West Virginia, you're not always in the park. You end up driving on public streets in Maryland and other places where your permit is not recognized, so you can't actually carry there. So, before you go to Harper's Ferry, you'd want to know that. Otherwise, like me, you get on the tour bus and find out the next stop is Maryland. It's like, oh crap, I got to go back to the main office and stop. So, something you want to know when you're out and about, you know, what are the laws, where are you going, and have a good, clear idea of what you can do or what you need to do. Now, I could